I know, right? No one's favorite
from
angle.
underneath. So Koji told us that this season is like getting back to the basics, like high school stuff. What does that look like for Cheryl?
Well, is there really ever a basic for Cheryl? Probably not. But I think it's more about the relationships in the town. So all of the friendships between Jughead and, well, she's not really friends with Jughead, but Betty and Veronica and all of those people. And Archie, she loves Archie so much. And so it's more about that and the relationship between her and Toni. And there will be definitely some rocks in that relationship along the way. Getting into a college, like normal kid stuff. You know what I mean? There will still obviously be a thriller element, which I'm not to say yet, but just something to do with the end of last season. But yeah, just kind of, what you focus on when you're in senior year, but Riverdale style.
Where does Cheryl want to go to college?
Highsmith. We talked about that in season 3, and we're hoping to bring Toni with her. Fingers crossed.
Both of Cheryl's parents turned out to be serial killers. How does she
Why are
deal
you
with...
reminding me about
I'm
this?
sorry.
Really
I didn't know if you knew. So how does will we see Cheryl deal with that situation in season 4?
I think mental health is going to be a large part of her story this year, especially because she's got her mother's dead body in her basement. And that's obviously, I think, very heartbreaking that that's what she felt like she needed to do to cope with the loss of him and the finding out of her mother being a serial killer as well as her father. Her father wasn't a serial killer, he just killed one person. So that's just a murderer. And then there's a serial killer, which is more than 3, obviously. So yes, they're both murderers, and that was obviously very rough for her. So hopefully we can delve into that. Maybe some fun therapy sessions. I don't know. Haven't shot him yet, so I'll pitch it.
Her fashion sense that we all love so much. Do you have a favorite outfit, and have you been able to keep it?
No, you can't keep anything, but I wore an outfit very briefly at the end of season 3. It was like a see-through pink Miu Miu top with a red bra, a red bow, and red skirt, naturally, red lipstick, and I love that outfit. There's also an outfit that I wore for like 4 episodes at the end, that blue turtleneck that I would like to burn. And I wore that for so long, like a month straight. But we can move on from that now. I'm fine.
No trauma.
Not traumatic at all.
Is there anything new you want to see from Cheryl in season 4?
Well, I think addressing her mental health finally would be very important. She also tried to commit suicide in season 1, and I think that all of these things are still kind of bubbling underneath the surface for her. I think focusing on her relationship and honesty is very important for Cheryl because she has difficulty with that with Toni. And kind of maybe making some friends. That'd be nice. I would like to see that.
There's going to be another musical episode this season. Do you have any hopes of what it is?
I would love it if it could be Sweeney Todd. I know it's a little on the nose, I understand, but I think it would be very fun. I don't know who I would play. Maybe Sweeney Todd.
I'd like to know more about their relationship with Tori next season, and what kind of feedback do you receive with the audience?
With Toni?
Yeah.
Right now, we're in a very solid place, but she doesn't know about my brother's body in my basement. I think that's going to obviously throw a spoke in the wheel. But they love each other very much, and Toni is her first her first relationship in general, but it's her first relationship that is true to her identity as a lesbian, and I think that's really beautiful, and I hope that they stay together. I think that they're endgame, but you never know in Riverdale. One more question.
Throughout the season, what has been your favorite
To watch? Such a great question. What has been your favorite to watch? Oh, I mean, watching that scene where Lily was trying to decide if she could shoot her dad or not. She did such a fantastic job in that scene. It was great. And then also the phone call at the end of season 3 from Hermione. Do you guys know what that's about? Do you guys know? You didn't find out yet? When you do, it's going to be a you know what I mean? Whatever that sound means, but that's what it's going to be.
Are you able to not declare at all, or do you like to do
No,
that?
I haven't. I don't think I ever have being there. I don't have the time to do it, which is sad. Maybe one year. Yeah, no, I haven't been able to.
So it sounds like this season is getting back to the basics, like the high school basics. What does it mean, though, for Betty after, like, several years of
All of that.
that?
Yeah. I think it's sort of a good distraction and kind of refreshing to focus on senior year after all that's happened. Clearly a lot has changed in Betty's life. I think her life has been flipped upside down a little bit, and the idea that she can kind of sink her teeth into senior year is probably really good for her. And I think it's also very sentimental because she's with her best friends, and it's their last year to kind of do all this stuff together before things might change. So I think she's trying to be in a good place at the beginning of the season. Yeah. Trying. It's hard when your dad was murdered in front of you.
So many people's parents are murderers on this show.
Yes, there's going to be no parents at the end of the show. They're all just...
Your performance, the scene when you had to decide whether to shoot your father or not, first off, it was amazing.
Thank you.
Very touching scene.
Thanks.
Our perspective.
Well, it was 2 a.m.
Was it cold?
and it was cold. It was cold, but I was actually surprisingly not that cold. It kind of felt a little shocking and almost like it didn't really, it was hard to imagine, obviously, being in that situation. I could never even begin to imagine. So as an actor, it was definitely challenging. But I think I just tried to play into the shock of it a little bit. But also Betty has had this war with her father for such a long time now, like this roaring, fire underneath between the two of them. And I think it's sad because Betty really did use Hal as like an ally last season. When Alice was brainwashed, she kind of turned to him, which is sad when you have to do that because your dad's a killer. It's not great, but he was there for her as a father figure, even when he was behind bars, which is crazy. So to have him gone, she's struggling with the fact that she can't really grieve him because of who he was. He was a murderer, and so she feels like she can't miss him. She can't grieve him. She can't mourn him. She feels guilty for doing that. So she's definitely going through that in the first episode, which is sad to see. But Jughead is really there for her, which is sweet. Yeah.
What's the biggest difference from filming a TV show versus towards filming a film? What was the hardest part for you?
Well, I started filming Hustlers as we were filming the finale episode of Riverdale, so it was like a lot of back and forth, and I was sleeping on planes, which was tiring. But movies are always so interesting and fun. I mean, I love film. That's what I always wanted to do, and it's great because you're there and you're working so hard and things move really fast and you're putting so much time and telling this story in kind of such a short amount of time, and then it's over and it's kind of tied up with a little bow and then it's done. And then with Riverdale, clearly it's kind of like it's ongoing, ever changing. You have this family that you keep coming back to, so it's kind of this really nice, stable thing to have in your life. For me, being on a TV show is really comforting to know that I have a place to come back to. I have a family to come back to. I have my castmates to come back to. It's actually quite comforting. Yeah.
Throughout the seasons, they've addressed the topic of Dark Betty a little bit. How will we see her explore that area of herself this season, or how will she fight it?
I think the darkness that she has inside of her exists. I think it first showed itself in like season 1 and season 2 as Dark Betty because she didn't know how to handle it. So it was more of just like a costume or a persona, but now it's actually just like a part of herself that lives inside of her that she's aware of and doesn't try to, I think she's coming to terms with not being ashamed of the fact that she has a little bit of darkness inside of her, but everyone does. So I think it's sort of, she's evolved. It's just making her a more dimensional human being, and she's accepting herself a little bit more and more each season, rather than like dressing up as this figure that's supposed to be representative of part of her. If that makes sense.
Good. Thank you.
Channeling. Do you see like the Veronica vibe happening? I don't know.
We need the pearls.
I know. I'm missing the pearls. I thought that would be too much. Although, you know what's funny? Last season, I remember they said Veronica's not wearing pearls this season because she really wants to kind of separate herself from her father, and the pearls to her were such a symbol of her father's love and affection. And so she stopped wearing her pearls in season 3. And this year we were like, bring back the pearls. Like, it doesn't feel like Veronica without pearls. And I was like, no one even really noticed I wasn't wearing my pearls last season. So in a way, we can just bring them back in.
Well, I think we've been told that this season is like getting back to the high school basics.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that mean for Veronica particularly? She's like this cool city girl. Like, does she even have that experience at her old school?
Totally.
Like, what's it like in Riverdale?
I mean, I think Veronica's, at this point, Veronica has assimilated into this Riverdale type of life. And I think she's always found it quite charming and quaint. So I don't think it's like she's too cool, she's above it, or she's too cool for it. She will definitely be going to the house parties. She's a cheerleader. But I think the most high school thing about Veronica's storyline this season would be college applications. I think she's very serious about her future. I think more so than other characters at this point. Well, Jughead is as well, as he's going to the prep school. And I know Veronica is very protective because she knows prep school. She knows what that life is like. And I think she's protective of Jughead going there because she doesn't know that he necessarily will like those people or fit in with those types of people. But yeah, we'll see her applying to college. She's trying to get into Harvard, but Hiram is not making that easy for her. He has a vengeance against her because she put him in jail. So he's going to be causing some trouble in her life that will make getting into college difficult.
Veronica does a lot of things. She runs an illegal casino. She deals with mobsters.
Mm-hmm.
She sings. What's your favorite thing about Veronica?
Veronica, just in general?
That she does.
Like what kind of, more like, do I prefer her business side? Or
Exactly,
is that, okay. I really love the mafia stuff. I love it when Veronica is kind of like into this. I feel like she can like hold her own in those environments. I love seeing Veronica like being this like, preppy, very polished woman, but also being really strong and fearless in that mafia world. So yeah, that's my favorite aspect. Hiding her brother's corpse and like talking to it like that, which to me I'm like, no. Although I guess it's not that surprising because it's Cheryl, but like the idea of having a corpse that you're interacting with, it to me is like, that's very shocking. Yeah.
Archie and Veronica still going strong?
Archie and Veronica still going strong. We're only 2 episodes in, but I really hope that persists. Because I think season 3, there was a lot of back and forth between Archie and Veronica. And I think it'd be really nice to see them be a little bit more stable this season.
A lot of the focus with Veronica is the relationship with her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Will we see any more of the relationship with Veronica and her mother? Will that be explored more?
I hope so, because I know Veronica wanted her dad to be in jail, but she didn't want her mom to be in jail. She was genuinely surprised by that. And that seemed to be right at a point where the two of them were starting to team up and get back on the same side again. Because for so long, it was a back and forth between her and her mother, and sometimes being vulnerable with her mother and then also feeling like she can't trust her mother, not knowing what side she was on. Now that her mom's in jail, I think I really hope to see that relationship being explored more this season.
If you could play another character on the show, which would you explore?
I have a different answer every time someone asks me. There's so much fun to be had with so many of the characters, but sometimes I say Archie because I would love to like do all that fighting, that boxing stuff. I think that would be really fun, just as an actor. But I wouldn't want to be in hair and makeup for that long, covering up or with the amount of scars KJ has on his body that he has to get put on every day is insane. He was attacked by a bear, so you gotta stay consistent.
Big fan of,
No, yeah, go ahead.
big fan of the perfect take.
Oh,
Movie, yeah.
thank you.
So how often do you occasionally like with the movies and also Riverdale at the same time?
Yeah, that one I didn't do at the same time. I did that over a hiatus,
Oh, okay.
but it's hard. We have like 2 months off to do other projects, so you have to make sure you get the right opportunity at the right time, and it lines up somehow, which is very hard. And sometimes you'll get a project and they say they're going to go over hiatus, and then they end up not doing it over hiatus, and then you lose the project because you have Riverdale, and that's priority, right? So it's always great whenever I get a chance to do something else over my break. I like to stay busy, and I like to be putting myself in new environments and learning new things. I'm still very new to this. Thank you.